coming up on the TV, so that's good as well. All right. Perfect. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is just after 7 o'clock. I always look at the clock back there. Actually, it's 7 o'clock on the dot right here, so we'll go by that. 7 o'clock, my name is John Lohr. I am the FinCom Chair and I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is October 8th at 7 o'clock. Before we get going, though, I'd like to have all the members introduce themselves, starting off to my far left.
Brett Hausler.
Mark Johnson.
Joyce Boyardi.
Michael Crone. Pete Berube.
Jen Zaretsky.
Eric Marthinson.
And we also have Heidi Gilmore coming in, joining us. Introducing you, Heidi, if you can hear us, as she is on vacation right now, but wanted to be part of the meeting tonight, so welcome. All right. Before we get going, the usual housekeeping rules here. So you can access the Finance Committee information with your local access channels, either Comcast Channel 6 or Verizon Channel 38. You can go online at millismedia.org or live streaming on YouTube. And last, you can go in person, like Select Board, School Committee, and even FinCom tonight. So all the meeting material that we have is available online on the FinCom page on the Millis website, so take a look at that. And just a final reminder for all of our guests, as well as members, just to speak into the microphone about 4 inches away so that we can properly record it. So, without any further ado, I believe we're going to get right into animal control. So, Erin, come on down. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So,
Yes.
bring us up to speed on the
Okay.
Article 11, animal violation fines.
Yes. So, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, about 4 inches. Yeah, as close as you can.
Up your
Okay.
nose.
There you
Is
go.
that better?
Yep.
So, currently, our bylaws, the fees are not up to code with the state, so they can be more strict, but they can't be less strict. So, state law, for the first offense should be $50, the second offense should be $100, and a third subsequent offense should be $300. Currently, our bylaws, the first offense is a $25 written warning, and then the second offense is $50, as well as the third offense is $50, and all subsequent offenses are $50. So I have this copy here. You're more than welcome to look at it if you like, just so you can see. But we need to just change the amounts so that we're up to code. You could make them more by all means if you so choose, but that's where we are.
Okay. So just a general question, just starting off. So does this get indexed, or should this get indexed annually, or is this just every 3, 5, 10 years time to update the numbers to reflect what's in the state?
Right, time to update the numbers to be in code with the state law.
Okay. Curveball. Have we lost any revenue because of our numbers being so low?
Yes and no. So obviously, those that have been issued citations, they're paying less than what they should be paying.
Gotcha. All right. So a way to to fall in line then.
Right.
Okay.
It's pretty straight.
Any other questions?
Pretty straightforward.
One question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When do you get your new truck?
So I just actually was checking the email today. He said October, November for the uplift, so I did just send him an email to ask him, we still in that time frame and what's going on with it, so hopefully soon.
All right. Any other questions? Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, just a quick question.
Sure.
How many fines do we issue?
It depends, so generally, they're issued, automatically for a bite. Off-leash, your first offense generally will give you like a written warning. Second offense, obviously, more, but, we're pretty good, so we don't issue too many, but I'd say maybe 10 citations for the year.
Go ahead, Joyce.
I do have a question about Oak Grove.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Oak Grove is tricky. It's been a constant problem. The problem is, A, they're either doing it off hours when I'm not there, or B, they're on the trails. So for me to walk all the way into the trail, they'll walk by me as I'm sitting there doing enforcement with the dog on the leash, but then they get in the trail and they take them off. Or some blatantly just don't care and just will do it, and then they're issued a citation. So, yeah, it's everywhere we face that issue. You know, even in Medway, we have the same thing on the trails.
This may sound a little, I don't know. Could a citizen say to another person who's got the dog off the leash and the dog is harassing other people, can a citizen go up to a person and say, hey, you know, put your dog on a leash?
I don't recommend they do. We've had issues in the past there with some people
That's
getting.
what I was afraid of.
Yeah, so I prefer that you just call me. You know,
Perfect. Okay.
yeah. Okay. Do you guys want a copy of this, just so you can see, or are you good?
I think I'm good. I think
Good?
we're good, yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Mike, you have this articles for, so he needs to understand, so
All
if he needs anything, he'll reach out.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, Aaron,
Have
thanks
a
for
good
coming
night.
in tonight,
No
appreciate it.
problem. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is talking about the community preservation open space, but I don't see Nate, so let's fast forward. Or,
We're a little early.
I mean, if there are any questions I can possibly answer, I'll certainly do my best, but I don't know how in-depth you want to get into.
why don't we pause for now, and if he comes in, we'll give him a shot, and then we'll give you another shot after the fact. So that kind of moves us up on the timeline here quite a bit, but this is, I believe, Article 6, the school building project, which is a big one. So why don't we dig our teeth into that, because I know that we have quite a few questions. Mike, come on down. My goal for tonight is to ask questions and also make sure that we all have a thorough understanding. So that's what the goal is here.
We're all not going to squeeze at that table.
Fair enough.
If I can make one point too before we start, just so people who are watching this understand that we recently had a tri-board meeting in which there was a major presentation from the building committee regarding the project, and we've been kept apprised of the project all year long. So this isn't our case of first impression talking about it. We have been discussing it all along.
And I have one thing before you go. I was with a bunch of residents, new residents today, and they were under the impression that this was an override. So somehow it's got to be made clear that this is not an override.
Okay, all right, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, I'm just, yeah.
So, all right, so with that, Craig, why don't, or whoever, Brian, do you want to, whoever wants to start?
I'd like to.
Yep, please.
I'd like to introduce the guy over there. I think you all know him, Craig Schultz.
You can speak into the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
You gotta be,
Speaking
you
to
gotta be
the
4 inches away, unfortunately.
And our project manager, senior project manager, Emily Saracen from Vertex Engineering is here with us
Nice to meet you.
to answer some of the questions that we've got. I have a list of 3 different sets of questions. Yours, John. Brett, you sent us some questions, and Heidi Gilmore sent some questions as well, and we're prepared to kind of go down the line with those.
Perfect, why don't you continue?
Okay. Craig, do you want to pull a chair up here, or do you want to
I
stand?
can stand,
Okay. Works for me.
although I just now have to schedule ACL surgery, apparently.
Okay, so,
Don't blame
You'll be
us.
sitting in the future.
John, you asked if the article and ballot pass, and I want to make it clear that we need to pass town meeting, and then we need to pass at the ballot on December 8th.
Correct, and just to interject, so passing at town meeting is to appropriate the funds for the school building project. The ballot is to raise the taxes and pay for it. Is that true?
That is correct. It is an override. It's an override of Proposition 2.5. There's 2 types of overrides: a debt exclusion, which only lasts for the period that the project is being paid for, in this case, 28 years, and an operational override, which goes on in perpetuity. There's subtle differences, but they're both overrides. They're just different types: debt exclusion versus operational. And the first vote at town meeting is to appropriate the money that lets us spend the money. The second vote is the tax increase that gives us money to spend. Obviously, we can't spend it if we don't have it. So if the
Yeah.
ballot doesn't pass, we don't go forward.
And one last note, so on November 10th during town meeting is the first vote, and then on December 8th is the ballot vote, so
Yeah.
just about a month later.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have a question, Joyce?
So it is an override, but only for the duration of the project.
Right, I mean, it's technically a Proposition 2.5 override vote. It's just that
Yeah.
they're both overrides, Joyce. They just are handled differently,
I
and,
fibbed, though.
yeah, well, you didn't, you misspoke.
I misspoke.
Yeah, and you've learned something, so you won't make that again.
Now you have a chance to go back and correct it.
I shall.
But
All
it
right.
will only run for the duration.
Okay, only the duration.
So let me answer the rest of John's question.
Yes, go ahead.
Which is, what's the timeline? We would start, if this passes, we would start construction in the first quarter of 2027 and complete in the second quarter of 2029.
I'm sorry, which quarter in 2029?
Second quarter. First
Okay.
quarter 27,
Yep,
second quarter 29.
Okay.
We'll be working
Mr. Chair.
on the new, oops, wrong view, but that's all right. This is the new wing, which is all the middle school.
okay.
And this is what we'll do first. And then we will use the spot that isn't here right now on this picture because it will go away. We'll use that as swing space for the sections that we need to renovate. We'll move the students in there,
Mhm.
do the renovations, and then move them back.
So, awesome. Let me just take a step back in terms of the timeline again, because I feel like we're talking about three different timelines: a calendar year timeline, an academic year timeline, and a fiscal year timeline.
Calendar,
Calendar year,
yep.
okay. So, January to March of 2027 it would start.
Yep.
While school is in mid-session, mid-year. Okay, does that answer your question, Pete?
Yes.
Okay.
And for the most part, we'll do this, as Vertex likes to call it, a summer slammer. We'll be heading full steam ahead during the summers, correct?
Yep.
Sam?
Yes, that's right.
Go ahead, Jen.
So then why aren't you starting till a quarter during a school year? Why wouldn't you start in the summer, or is that just?
I think it helps to.
You just speak into the mic.
You have to. bring it
Sorry.
to you.
It helps to have an enabling phase and kind of get started, and then we'll be able to hit the ground running that first summer instead of just starting to set stuff up.
Yeah.
We also have to do design development. We've got to, we also have to do the construction documents.
Yep,
Those aren't done. So
gotcha.
we have to hire a general contractor, get approval for the method of construction, which is construction management at risk.
Yeah.
Where the general contractor becomes one of the team, not an adversarial relationship.
And this would be going on between after the voting
Correct.
and Q1 of
It'll
2027.
take a year to do the documents, because when we do them, the general contractor sits in with us and we all hammer away at the documents. Okay?
Yep. Awesome.
Next question?
Yep, please do.
Craig's already answered part of it.
All right, well, it is a debt exclusion, which is an override. It'll run for 28 years, and then after 28 years, it stops. The bond's paid off. And the way it's figured, we're going to need $56.1 million of town money. The state's putting in 67.6. So the state's going to give us $67.6 million, and we have to spend $56.1 million, which is phenomenal. Getting that level of reimbursement over 50%, it's almost 54%. That's very, very significant. But the beauty of this is, unlike an operational override, where the more houses that come in, the more money we get, we're only going to ever need to collect $56.1 million. So as the town grows, which it is, we've grown 20% in the last 5 years, but as the town grows, that 56 million spread over more households. So the cost will come down over time as more households are built. And so that's how a debt exclusion works.
Quick question. So from a financing standpoint, when will all the variables be determined in terms of bonding it and going through that process?
FY '30 probably, is when we get the, we have estimates now that we'll share right now.
Yeah.
But those are estimates. There's
Yeah.
interest rates. Right now, we're figuring a certain interest rate.
Yep.
Could go down. We're figuring a valuation of the town of $2.2 billion, which means somebody with deep pockets could buy every building in the town for $2.2 billion. But that's gone up 5% in the last 3 years. I'm sorry, 20% in the last 5 years. So that's increasing, and the more that increases, the lower the burden is on the people in the town. So there's estimates. Right now, we're estimating that an average assessed value single-family house, and the average assessed value for a single-family house is $605,000. That would cost $913, I'll round up, $914 per household. And that's based on the current valuation of the town.
Yeah.
And people need to understand assessed value versus sales value. People's houses are going to sell well in excess of that. My house is assessed well below the offers I've got. I'm not trying to sell, but I get phone
Yeah.
calls. I've been there for 30 years, and people want to know if I'm selling. Yeah. But the offers are well above the assessed value.
Yeah.
So there's not a direct correlation. So look at your assessed values, not your the fact you think you can sell your home for $1
Quick
million.
question by Mike?
Yeah.
So in the period of time before construction begins and during construction, prior to 2030, when you'll get the
Yeah.
final bonds, are these anticipation bonds or short-term bonds that you'll take out and a payment of interest only?
Yeah, it'll be borrowing bond anticipation notes. They're called BANs, bond anticipation notes. Interest on those, there might be some staggered increase to the tax rate as it goes up slightly, but the real hit will occur when we bond the whole building over.
Go ahead, Heidi, do you have a question?
Yeah, is the 67.6 million from the state, is that committed? Has MSBC voted on that?
They have not voted, but there were pre-meetings on that, and that's a number they're going to give us possibly by the end of this week, early next week. But we have no reason to doubt that that's the number they're going to give us. But if they come, and that increased by $1 million, the amount they were giving us from the last meeting I had till this meeting. So that keeps going up. I think at some point we hit our theoretical cap, but I don't anticipate it falling. But we will refigure those numbers if they do, and we'll know by the end of this week, beginning of next week, what the final contracted number is. And once that number is known, it's not changeable.
So you're 95% there. There might be a slight change, but.
I'm saying I'm
highly-
98% there.
98, even better.
All
Okay,
right.
fair enough.
And Craig, one other point, I think this was brought up when we had the tri-board meeting, that once the state commits that money, no matter what happens with the finances of the state, no matter who is the governor, no matter who is the legislature, that figure does not change.
Absolutely. It
correct?
comes from 1% of the sales tax, or a penny off of every dollar of sales tax. That money is in hand today, and they've committed projects to use that money. It has no correlation to federal money, which we know is notoriously fickle right now.
Yep.
It has no correlation to grants from the states. This is a completely isolated, reserved funding source. And we know, once they sign the contract, and that's what we're entering into, if we build the school that we've designed, they will give us the money they promised.
Yeah. Follow-up question from an assessment standpoint. So we have a timeline now, Q1 '27, Q2 2029, final bond, say 2030. When would the taxes go into effect?
I'm saying FY '30, so that would be,
FY30.
July 1st?
July, yeah, probably, that's probable. I mean,
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. I
But it's
mean,
not
if
like
I'm-
2028, it's not 2029.
It's not next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Go ahead, Pete.
Does the MSBA participate in development of the construction documents, and/or do they sign off and approve them before they go out to bid?
Yes, they do, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing. We have to build the building that we committed to build and design the building that we said verbally in our education plan. But if you would like to.
So they'll review the documents at the 60% and 100%, and then they'll give comments back, and then we address those comments. So they do review and approve them, as well as the commissioning agent. Oh, sorry.
I would also say that when we built Clyde Brown with MSBA funds, they had 2 or 3 people once a month at the construction meetings that we had every week. So they come, they look at everything, they ask questions, and then they look at what we're submitting for expenses.
Go ahead, Mike. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, so when did you go through this process with Clyde Brown?
This is a tough question. I can't remember that.
I think it was
It was within the last
2017.
10 years, right?
Yeah, it was 2017, I believe, yeah.
Right. So you're well-versed in this?
Yes.
Yeah.
This isn't something new to the town. We've been through it recently.
We have.
Yeah.
And we also use CM at risk, the construction management technique for that as well.
Okay.
And for those that don't know what that is, that avoids the low bidder. We used a low bidder for the library, and it came out nice, but it was a lot of friction, and we avoided cost overruns by just keep stretching it out. You can't stretch a school out. It's got to be open in September.
Right.
So CM at risk gives you the ability to guarantee performance of the construction manager.
Yeah.
Because they've seen those documents, looked at those documents, and worked with those documents from the inception. Yeah,
Gotcha.
And I want to say that we came in 4 million under budget on
Correct.
Clyde Brown.
yeah.
Just kind of mentioning it.
Yeah, I got that as a note.
And on time.
The library was on budget, but
Yes.
not on time.
And, sorry, I'm just going back to the timeline again. So if this is expected to wrap up in Q2 2029, Q3, the fall school year then of 2029, people would be fully utilized? I know they're moving around and, but it would be fully utilized by that fall, right?
I believe that's right. I don't have the
right there.
schedule in front of me, but,
I would imagine, okay.
yeah.
Go ahead, Diane, if you want to keep going along.
Okay, so we talked about when the new taxes would go into effect.
Yep, just talked about that.
Craig, can you address number 4?
Oh, sure.
So just for the audience and members, I submitted some questions as well, and I said, how
Yeah.
the town of Millis overall debt increase with this project? Are there any debts rolling off, like the library or other town capital items?
First, I'm going to complain because this was the finance committee's chart that I can barely read. But this came from last year. I think it's
From us?
4-point font. I got it off the website today. So right now, I got to hold it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. That's better. In 2033, the library is paid off. And we're paying between $250,000 and $300,000 a year on the library. And that's paid off in 2033. Police station's paid off in 2036, and that's between $500,000 and $700,000 a year. Both of those financings, and actually all of our financing, has been on what we call level principal payment, where we pay the same amount of principal each year. And what happens is the total amount paid each year decreases. So in in 2025, we paid $700,000 towards the police station. In 2036, we pay $500,000. So it's decreasing. This project's going to be built differently. We're using level payment. It's exactly like a home mortgage. We don't see any reason to penalize those of us that live in town today with incredibly high payments, and somebody 30 years from now who sends their child to that school is paying a third the cost we're paying today. Everybody for those entire 28 years will pay, not 30 years, 28 years, but everybody for those 28 years will pay the same portion of the
Yeah.
bill. So it's a level payment option, which is different. So we've got the library coming off in 33, the police coming off in 36. I'm looking for large numbers.
Fire?
Police fire is the same project. Clyde Brown comes off in 44.
That should be it.
And then we've got, everything else is 50,000, 60,000, small dollar amounts.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah. And it will not, and this won't impact our bond rating at all. We're fine with this. The things that impact our bond, this is well within our debt limit. The things that impact our bond rating are putting $50,000 into OPEB each year, having a ratio of free cash and stabilization that meets the 5% number. I looked up to find Jody, and she's not here. So when I say free cash, I look to Jody. So those are the things that really do impact our bond rating, but we're very healthy.
Perfect.
Okay,
Oh, hang on, Eric's got one quick question.
Actually, just a quick bond question for you, Craig. The 28 years, is that a standard number? Is there a reason that we chose that and didn't go with something longer that's kind of more in line with the life of the building?
30 years is the typical lifespan that you bond, and there's 2 years when we start before we actually bond it, so that turns it into a 30-year bond. But the 28 years of financing on 30 years of work.
Right. Craig, I could probably jump in here too. The MSBA doesn't recommend bonding on school projects longer than 30 years. You really don't get more competitive, compelling rates even at the 40-year term. So really that's the sweet spot, is right around that 30-year mark.
Thank you, Jody.
I didn't know you were there, Jody.
I know.
Oh, no worries.
All right, keep,
Doing a great job, Craig.
Thank you. I'm feeling a little safer now that you're there.
we'll turn up the fire a little bit here. All right, go ahead, Diane.
you asked a question about, you heard a story about Medfield not passing a building ad reno. Well, it's not kind of funny for them.
Is that a true
The vote
story?
The vote failed, it is true.
So, do you know the story? I don't know the story. Could you preface it a little bit for everybody?
It failed, it was a school
Okay.
override, and the
Okay.
vote failed. I don't know any more about that, other than how much it was, I don't think I even remember, do you?
I don't know the exact
Okay.
amount, but the vote failed 5 years ago. They
Yeah.
got back into the MSBA, they're coming forward again to do it. And the same basic building is 50% more expensive.
Yeah, that's,
And they
Yeah.
get to
The
pay for
punchline.
the feasibility study again,
Wow.
themselves. MSBA doesn't cover it
Wow.
second time.
gotcha.
And the other part with that, any renovations you do to a building during that period, so if we were to abandon this
Yep,
and say, we're just gonna fix the roof and come back in 5 years, and we put $5 million into fixing the roof and the windows, they won't reimburse us for that $5 million. Even if we have to tear the roof off because of the project and do it again, they subtract the $5 million we spent off
Sure.
of what they're gonna give us. So it's never going to be cheaper than it was 5 years ago, and it's never going to be cheaper than it is today.
thank you for that, adding some color around that story. That's what I was driving at in terms of having them go back into the system, having it cost more.
Well, the first project manager we had lived in Medfield and was the head of the PBC there.
That's
so-
what I was, I think that's where I heard it,
Got a
yes.
little insider information.
Yeah. All right, keep going.
These questions are from Brett, thank you. If the project were to pass in town meeting and at the ballot, what are the biggest risks to the project timeline, budget, or educational goals, and how are they gonna be managed? And I'm asking Emily to step in on this.
Go ahead, Emily.
So biggest risks with any ad reno are definitely the unforeseen conditions. We'll manage that by assigning contingencies to certain line items. For example, hazmat is one of the biggest unforeseen conditions. And that will kind of be the way that we move through it. And as we move past any demo of any section, the contingency from that hazmat, we can then either reassign to a section of the building that we haven't touched yet, or put that back into the contingency for use to cover other risks. But we always have a list of any project risks that are coming up, and we keep a close eye on it. And there's tasks you can do to mitigate any risks, exploratory work, making roof cuts, checking inside the walls, above the ceilings before you start in a certain area.
Pete, you have a question?
Yeah, maybe, if you care, perhaps Diane would offer a little bit more detail on this. As I understand it, the high school, middle school was renovated in the 80s, maybe? And so
Early
that's
90s, I
post,
think.
Early 90s.
that's
I got it right
post
here.
any, I don't know what the extent of the scope of work was. I think it was pretty substantial. And certainly after asbestos or lead-based paint was allowed. So I'm just wondering what you think notionally the risk of finding hazmat is in the school.
Can't answer about radon, sorry, speaking to the mic, Diane. Can't answer about radon because I don't know what the situation is. But I do know that the architects crawled all over the building with their subcontractors to figure out what our real issues were. So they're very familiar. For example, they found that there's no insulation on the roof. And so the water just comes right on down, doesn't get the insulation wet. So I don't anticipate we'll find a lot of big problems that haven't already been found.
Perfect. And Pete, 1999, the building was renovated, but no additions were added.
Thank you.
Right.
Right, and they have been through that building pretty heavily. The only part, and with our last building where we did find the contamination, the last two, was the soil. And the only part where the soil's being disturbed is where the new addition's going, and I'd be very surprised. The last one was a DPW dump, where we found the asbestos outside the library. It had previously been a DPW dump site. I doubt that, we know that because there was a DPW license plate from 1949 in the stuff. So,
Coincidence.
coincidence. But this area probably is safer. I mean, it's not in the middle of.
No
I mean,
guarantees,
there's
but
been
safer.
stuff there for a while. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving. Great.
So, market conditions, we have escalation for every year between 5 and 10%. So it's built in, that's the best we can do.
Yeah, and as far as steel and other things like that going up in cost, because everybody's hearing tariffs and stuff, the real cost in this building is labor. And I've done a couple buildings with the YMCA, and Emily, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, the steel that's used, even if it goes up, it's not going to move this thing exponentially. It's the labor costs that are actually on the decrease slightly now, so I'm excited about that. So we'll see if labor costs come down on this at all, which could help us when we get an actual bid. But I'm not concerned about steel escalating and having an impact on the project that's not covered by our contingencies and the escalators.
Mr. Chair.
So go ahead, Brett.
And this is coming from being informed on the nonprofit security grant program. So
Yeah.
forgive me for making a connection here. My understanding is when you have an organization that gets those funds, there's a requirement to meet a certain wage threshold. With a project like this, with getting approval through the MSBA, is there a wage threshold that we are being beholden to?
It's prevailing wage,
Prevailing
which basically
wages,
means
thank you.
union wage. And the company we worked with last time for the Clyde Brown, the police station, the fire station, they were a union company. So that met the needs.
It's about 30% more.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a kind of hefty chunk.
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
any more questions?
No, keep rolling through these.
Okay, the next question was, how would the building perform if actual enrollment were significantly under or over the 645 student estimate? I can tell you that the current middle high school population is about 572 students. The middle school, which is grades 6, 7, and 8, have 286 students. And the high school, which is grades 9 through 12, has the same number. Go figure that. Clyde Brown, because that's what we're looking at coming in. Right now, they have 462 students in grades 1 through 5. There's no big bubble. Grade 2 is 102 kids, and grade 3 is 100, and the rest are between 80 and 100. So we don't have a big bubble that we know about.
And just to point out, on the website, if you dig down into the documents there's a New England School Development Council document, which shows the projections for the next 10 years, and it's relatively flat, plus or minus.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the reason why I asked this question is because I looked at that survey, and because it's relatively flat, that everything that you said makes a lot of sense. And what is missing, though, from that is some insight and awareness on our growing population. So if it's 675 is taking into account a growing population, we're speaking about how the tax burden is going to be spread across as our population grows. If 675 is the magic number to accommodate that, phenomenal. But if not, that's the reason for my question.
Well, and the way it's just, oh, go ahead.
It's
Pat.
it's 645, and that's as high as MSBA would allow the total to go.
Right, they won't allow us to design for more than the anticipated number, but saying that, if the classes grow 2 to 3 kids per classroom, that fits. if there's a huge bubble that comes through, which we don't see in the pipeline right now, you'd reconfigure classroom space to make it work. And the other part is the building is designed with expansion in mind. If you look at, yeah, thank you, Diane, I was gonna walk over. But if you look at the middle school, that's a good picture right there, Diane, actually. That
Yeah.
flat roof on the first floor right there,
This will hold 2 classrooms.
that's 2 classrooms worth of space, and it's framed so that steelwork below it is designed so it can be added on. It's not designed like, okay, you gotta rip this off and put it in. You could put 2 more classrooms right there for middle school at nominal cost. It's not gonna be free, obviously, but it's nominal cost. And then the high school can be expanded into the courtyard in the back area a little bit. So it's designed with expansion in mind, should that ever be a need in the next 30 to 50 years.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think we should also recognize, too, that the most substantial increase in population in the town has been over the age of 55.
Yeah.
Both with Glen Ellen and if you look at a lot of the new developments, half are people with children, half are people that are beyond childbearing age. So I think that looking at the demographics and the figures that you've had, they calculate that in. So it's not all new growth is going to be kids.
Yep.
Okay?
Fair point. Yep, keep going.
Okay, clear estimate of cost of renovation only option. Well, that's the giant bullet that we want to dodge right now. We estimated about $50 million in costs for bringing the leaking roof, the insulation, the doors, the windows leak inside the building. Not a great thing. HVAC doesn't really work. I can attest to that. I sat in a school committee meeting last summer, and it was 95 inside the room and 90 outside. It's terrible in there. The labs need to be upgraded. We need wiring, plumbing, IT technology. Some hazmat material is in there as kind of a safety, fire protection, and we would need modulars if we did something like this. These don't include the cost. The $50 million doesn't include the cost of the modulars, which is about $5 million. And it's never covered by MSBA.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we don't need to do it on this project. And basically, we don't have labor, project management, or any of that. We'll be up probably at about 75 million to do that. Now, there are 2 ways of doing it. All at once, which is not pleasant, or we can do the 3-year plan. The building code now says you can spend 33% of the assessed value of your building, which is 27 million and change, every 3 years. If you go over that, you have to do it all. You trigger the code, you have to get in compliance with everything. So we figured more than 10 years, actually, to complete all of the renovations. And that's all our own nickel. And the other thing about the renovations is they're not going to resize the classrooms in the building. They're not going to bring the classrooms anymore up to school standards to meet the ed plan. We're not going to see the science rooms that are in the new layouts. We're going to miss a lot of things.
Yeah, and there's a very detailed maintenance plan laid out, the deferred maintenance plan. This is a 10-year plan that topped out at 58.8 million. That included the modulars, which is actually more expensive than doing it right. So, and it took 10 years. And every other year, you're going to like this, Joyce, every other year, there's an override to fund it. In 2027, we do a $10.6 million override to do the roof, windows, abatement, some classroom vents. So that's 10.6 million in next year, or the first year of this plan. The next year, 2 years later, you get off a little cheaper, comes in at 4.9 million. And that takes care of electricity, HVAC, emergency power. The next year is a real bargain. That's year 6 of the plan. That comes in at about $1 million, so that one's affordable. And that takes care of some little things, because of that 3-year rule that Diane talked about. We have to be careful. Next year comes in at about 6.9 million, so that's year 8, the next phase. So each of these is a standalone, separate override. And if one of them fails, it pushes everything else out further. The last year, now this is where you've tripped everything, you're going to need an override for $27.4 million to finish the project. And the project you finished is, you've stopped the roof from leaking. You've got the HVA systems working, your classrooms are still undersized, and squeeze more kids in the classroom, what do I care? My wife went to school in this building. But the high school science labs are unsafe at the size they are. So some of it is uncomfortable, and some of it is absolutely unsafe to teach chemistry in a classroom where there's not enough room to get away from an accident or an incident. So that's the first option. That's the 10-year plan. Then you've got them where you can slam them all together into a short period. And you're going to disrupt school every year for the next 10 years. The other options are quicker, but they cost more. So that's...
Right, so the do-nothing plan is the Band-Aid on the Band-Aid on the Band-Aid over 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's approximately $20 million more than the current option we're entertaining.
Right. Well, there truly is a do-nothing plan, which is sit and watch our education system fail. And there's going to be people who don't want to vote for an override for the cheap plan, which is this one, the expensive plan, which is the Band-Aid, and I don't know. I mean, there's a reality we have to provide education. And if that education means we just stop the roof from leaking and make the bathroom work, congratulations, $58 million. If you don't want to provide education, we can't even have a dialogue. We can have a dialogue about how do we fund it. And there's options to fund it that are less expensive, which build that, and options to fund it that are more expensive that don't do anything.
And those are, just as a reminder, and Joe, as you can go after, those are all the different options that are laid out between R1, R2, R3, AR, and then a new building. So all options have been evaluated. Go ahead, Joyce.
As far as getting out to the public and letting, I mean, we're talking here, and I don't know how many people are watching this. I've mentioned it to people, please watch because you are presenting this evening. What is the plan as for the building committee to go to, say, the senior center or to the Glen, so that the folks up there know? I think it's really imperative.
We're scheduled to go to the Glen on, if I get it wrong, I'm going to get in trouble.
October 22nd.
Thank you.
22nd.
We're booked to the
22nd.
Glen on the
22nd or 26th?
22nd, I think.
22nd.
22nd, I misheard.
And
22nd.
then we're going to schedule the Council on Aging, and we also have a mailing coming out from this committee, the School Building Committee. Probably, I thought there was a mailing, okay?
And there's a postcard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's, okay.
The public forum on the 14th.
Yeah,
There's a public forum on the 14th, and then there's
I
a,
went to the Lions Club last night, and did the Lions Club, we have a pack, because some of you may or may not remember.
Yep.
We're not allowed to go out and wave the banner.
Solicit,
and
yep.
Promote the project. It's an ethics violation.
well,
Just correct. Keep going, Diane. Yeah,
We do have a pack.
yeah,
And they had, I guess, quite a bit of attention at the fire station thing on Sunday.
yeah, open house.
They're doing teas and coffees as they can with neighbors. They've already done a brochure.
Yeah,
So they're being active.
yeah.
yeah, and the reality is with the ethics violations, we're not allowed to use town resources to advocate. On the committee, we don't give up our First Amendment right to advocate, so we're allowed to say what we want. But as a
Right.
committee, they've recommended it, the School Building Committee, that's been a formal recommendation.
Yep.
Select Boards has a formal recommendation. But as individuals, we're allowed to advocate for it. We just have to be very careful about using any town resources, copy machines, email lists, anything of the
Yeah,
town.
understood.
Yeah.
I think,
Would you mind giving me those dates again? October 22nd at the Glen, at what time?
That's not open to the public.
That's not for the
That's
No,
just
no,
a
no, just so if I'm
There's a-
talking to Glen people.
There's an
Yeah.
email they had to sign up for, there's
Oh,
only
okay.
100 seats, they're
And what
handling
were the
it.
other dates for?
We haven't set the other ones.
Okay.
We have
Well,
I'll follow up with Deirdre, though,
We have a
and let
community-
you know.
yeah.
community forum on the 14th.
Yep.
And copies of that are posted at the library and in the senior center, and I believe on the town website, and I put them on Facebook.
Perfect.
No one reads that.
And there'll be a couple mailings going.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think you've had numerous public meetings on this. And if anybody hasn't taken advantage of being part of that, you've had them virtually, you've had them in person. So you've done a lot. So people out listening now don't think that this hasn't gone on for some time. It's been very transparent, it's been very public. I think the one thing that people, that at least that I've taken from all the meetings that I've listened to you is, there is absolutely no question that the school needs to be renovated or rebuilt or new addition. There's no question to that. The question is, how do you best do it? And if you look at what we were just discussing, and you look at the proposals that you looked at, and you looked at a variety of different proposals, 15, and you vetted them all and came up with the final one. To very blunt, this is a good deal. The state is picking up $67 million of our construction, and we're only paying 56. Now, that's a lot of money, but $56 million to build basically a new school. I mean, it's not brand new, but it's renovated and a new addition. It's going to look like a new school. It's going to feel like a new school. It's going to act like a new school. So the question out there is, does it make any sense not to do it? And if you're going to do it, this seems to be the best deal we're going to get. Am I wrong on that? I mean, did I miss anything?
No, can you come to our next meeting?
Of course you will.
Yeah.
There,
You'll never get a better deal.
I counted up, you actually have had 44 meetings, the school building committee, from December of 2022 to August of 2025, you've had 44 meetings, of which 4 have been Millis Permanent Building Committee participation, and 4 have been public forum meetings. So you've done a phenomenal job. But let's keep, just want to be mindful of time, let's keep going through
I
that.
want to say one thing.
Yeah.
MillisSchoolProject.com, excuse me, .gov. You find everything on there, minutes of our meetings, proposals, all the drawings, everything is on there. So, life cycle maintenance and cost model. We have, and maybe Mike can speak to that, we have a maintenance team for the
Yeah.
town buildings, correct, Mike?
We have, yeah, we've consolidated all of the maintenance under one department now for all town buildings. The library is a perfect example of it. They have a detailed capital improvement, capital renovation plan to keep it new. It's 12 years old now, or 10 or 12 years old. I think it's 12 years old now. And we just patched the roof, put $100,000 in the roof and a few other things. That all comes from them as part of their plan, their renovation plan, and identified breaks that need fixing. And that goes to the permanent building committee. No, that goes to the capital planning committee. And that committee appropriates funds. Now, it's interesting because when we appropriated $100,000 for the roof, this is what happened in the 70s and 80s and 90s and got us in this place. People went angry because why are you spending $100,000 on a new building? We're spending $100,000 on the new building to keep it new. So I promise you in 10 years, you're going to see money spent on the school. And it's not a bad thing. That keeps us from replacing it in 30 to 50 years. So there's going to be standard routine maintenance that has to be done, capital maintenance. And that's just part of a building. If you own a building, you have to fix it. If you don't fix it, you end up replacing it in 30 to 60 years.
I know we've talked before on the capital planning committee, but could you just reference the libraries on a similar maintenance schedule?
Yeah, the library has a detailed list of what they know they're going to do each ballpark every 3-4 years. They're going to be doing these projects. And then something will happen. The roof will leak and we have to deal with an emergency. But most of it's on a routine scheduled basis, end of life on HVAC. That building in 25 years is going to need a new HVA system. That's how long they last. But that's a known commodity. Well, we'll have to deal with that when that day comes, but we're not going to avoid that. If we avoid that, we end up letting the building start falling apart.
Thank you.
This town went a long time before we built any buildings. We
Yeah.
did the library, police and fire, some DPW buildings, Clyde Brown,
Yep.
and now the school.
This is the final, yep.
And the bills have come due long before this, but we didn't do anything.
Right.
So maintenance has been kind of a sore subject, and I'm happy to say that somebody's working on it now.
Yep, and as we're all homeowners, we know what deferred maintenance is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it adds up. Just don't talk to my wife.
That's what she said. talk to
I
you.
know, yeah. Okay, so,
Heidi's questions are?
yeah, Heidi, your questions are, I feel like we've answered a lot of your questions, but,
We've talked about expansion capabilities with
yeah,
2 classrooms, and you can add a couple of students to each of the current classes. if you need to. Impact on taxes, I think we've covered that. Projected enrollment. Estimate of cost of the renovation option, we've done that. And maintenance plans. Heidi, have you heard everything you needed?
So the only other question I had was the question about how it impacts senior citizens. So
Yeah.
what portion of taxes would they not be responsible for the new build? Versus if we did renovation only, does any of that get waived for them? Because, so that question is coming from genuinely wanting to know, but also I do believe we've got to educate, and I think that the committee has done a great job at that. But I think an FAQ, which Diane, I think you said the PAC has in the works.
I think so.
an FAQ laying all this out, the cost of renovation versus what we want, what the committee is recommending, the costs to seniors in town, which I think many of them are very cost sensitive and on fixed incomes. And I think if they truly understand that the impact to them is probably less with the proposed solution than it would be for a reno only, getting all those facts out there, I think really help people understand that this makes a lot of sense all around.
Yeah, what Heidi's referring to, if any of us can ever forget it, was last town meeting, we passed an exclusion for seniors in town over 65 who qualify for the senior circuit breaker, who've lived in town for 10 years and their house is, I believe, assessed for less than $1 million. I think there were 2 other criteria, but they were trivial compared to those 3. They would be excluded from all overrides debt exclusions that relate to school construction. So Heidi, I think they would, based on my recollection of it, I think they would be excluded from any tax increase on either this plan or the stepping stone plan. I think they're excluded for both. But I think the important part is there are potentially, Mike, what was our estimate? 200, 150, 100? Yeah, there's about 200 of our senior citizens who are least able to afford this that wouldn't be subjected to this tax. I absolutely understand their position. $1,000, $900 a year for somebody who is on an absolutely fixed income is way different. And I get emails, because I'm on the select board, from somebody who says their tax on their condo in Miami and Hawaii is less than this. I don't have a condo in either. But I get that. There's people that it's going to be uncomfortable. There's people that it's going to be, well, let's be honest, nobody wants to spend $900 more on taxes. Nobody. There's some people that just can't afford it. And we've done what we can legally do to exclude about 200 people from that burden.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joyce.
There's also tax work-off for those senior citizens that do not qualify for this circuit breaker.
Right.
There is, through our senior center, there is a tax write-off where you can get up to $2,000 a year off your taxes if you work for a department in town that needs help. I believe there's approximately 30 positions open, and not all are filled.
And that also applies for veterans. They can
And
qualify for
veterans
that,
as
too.
well. They qualify as well.
Those are
Yeah.
income qualified though, right?
Yeah, you got to qualify.
Yes.
No, they're not. No, they're not income qualified.
We could find out.
It's a fine lines. If there is a need and somebody is over a certain income level, they can apply. But it is income.
Well, let's check that.
I'll
because that's
clarify
not the
that,
way
yeah,
I
'cause-
remember it, because I asked that question. I know that there is income qualification for
Yeah.
for what we just passed, but I didn't think there was for
Well,
the other one.
we want to be black and white and not gray on this. So let's verify it. Let's verify it.
Are we good?
Yeah,
questions?
Heidi, are you good on your end?
Yes, I think all of my questions have been addressed.
Thank you. Pete, go ahead.
I'll preface my question that I know that MSBA does not pay or contribute any money towards fields and other site work, but especially fields. I know that our fields are currently non-compliant for various MIAA events especially playoffs. We don't have a track, we have a trail. We have a football field and a soccer field that has valve boxes in play. We have a baseball field that has one dugout, which the track or the trail runs through the in-play. It's just not good. And so my question is, does any part of this construction, either during construction or after construction, exacerbate that problem? I don't know where the laydown area is for that construction. It's probably going to interfere with those fields during construction, I imagine. But what?
I don't think it will,
Does it
but-
make it?
No, it
Does the construction, when it's complete, that home plate looks like it's about 50 feet from the new structure. Has anybody checked with
We have.
MIAA?
Yeah, that home plate and the backstop for the home plate is compliant with the law, with the rules. In fact, it makes a missed catch, not a double or a triple. It puts it like most schools have it now. That's a distance that's absolutely legal between the home plate and the backstop. There is no impact on the fields, and you're right, the reason we excluded it is because new fields would probably run $15 to $20 million. Because once you start doing the field, you have to put in new grandstands that are compliant, you have to put in restrooms at the grandstands, you have to move the road to accommodate the grandstands and the track. It just escalates from there. It's not as simple as just spreading turf on the existing field, putting turf on the existing field.
I appreciate you answering that. And I think the takeaway is, one, our fields are not getting any better. They're awful. They probably will always be awful. And if anybody makes the argument that this school is above and beyond and it's palatial and it's gold-plated, it is not.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I
And
think
the other
it's
piece
important
of-
just to
yeah.
interject is that, the school is a need and the fields are not a need, but close behind in
Yeah.
terms of a strong want.
The decision from the select board and the committee was education first, because that's what we had to address, and we don't lose anything by doing it. It's not like we're leaving money on the table the state would give us. If in 2 years a group wants to petition, wants to fight, wants to organize, wants to try to design it,
Yeah.
it's not costing us anything to do it on our own, because there's no state money attached to it, so it doesn't
You're not
change the
jeopardizing
complexion.
anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pete, I think you'll also find that if you walk out there to where the diamond is, you'll see some flags. We flagged the area so people can see where it's gonna go. And I think for laydown, we may be able to go, maybe it's easier if I get up here. Just to the right of this, there is an area that's not wetlands, and we may be able to use that.
So when you say lay down, you're defining the area where materials will be stored and so forth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any final questions?
Nope.
Just a couple closing comments. For starters, I appreciate all three of you coming in tonight and giving us the time as well as the education and the details behind the questions that we do have. I also just want to remind everybody that, and Diane, correct me if I'm wrong, but the school building committee is made up of 14 members, 7 voting, 7 non-voting. You have TAPE architects who are involved, you have Vertex who's involved, you have the school committee involved, the permanent building, select board, finance committee, and the capital planning committee. And then on top of that, the Mass School Building Authority. So everybody is rowing in the right direction
You
to do
also
this.
have the school, Bob Mulaney and the 2 principals.
The schools themselves, yes.
Yep.
Yep,
Yep.
thank you. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Mr. Carroll.
I know.
Remember, I was in that chair one time, many years.
Yeah. You can, hang on. Yeah. Nate, come on down. Yeah. I apologize, you were first in the batting order, but we went to the school building first.
I thanked him already.
All right, good. I'm thanking you again.
Well, it's my.
And maybe you learned a little bit, too.
My tardiness and my chicken stir fry took a little longer than I anticipated, so I didn't
You
make it
can't
on
rush
time.
perfection.
No.
Okay. So, with that said, why don't you bring us up to speed on the community preservation open space and the
Okay,
trail
so-
construction?
So we have one project in front of us this year, and it's from John Stedman, who represents the Glen, and they're looking for funding for a design of universal accessible trails at the Glen.
Okay,
So right now, there's trails there, but they want to expand on the trails that exist. And they need $20,000 for engineering and design on these
study.
existing sites.
okay. I do not have any specific questions. Pete?
Nate, can you describe public access to the trails?
Ooh, yes.
Is there parking? Is it marked like there are other open space or trails in town? Are there signage? Any hours limitations? Can you just describe how accessible to the rest, not accessibility in terms of ADA, but accessible to the rest of the town?
So the area, there is a parking spot, which I think has about 8 spots, 8 to 10. It's a gravel parking area. So when you're coming from Millis, it's on the right-hand side before you get to the entrance of the Glen. And then the area is encompassed on the right side of the property. And originally, this was going to be a 9-hole golf course when this whole project got laid out, but they decided not to do the 9-hole golf course and to create the open space. So the planning board worked with the Glen and the developers of Toll Brothers to leave the space open and use it as walking trails. So they'd like to expand on that now because, again, I guess John did state that, and I did ask the same question, that a lot of people utilize that from Millis, from other towns, and it's used quite frequently.
I mean, I'm just going to say it, the elephant in the room is really that I'm just trying to make sure that our public funds are going for the betterment of public space. And I think there could be some out there that would say, well, this is just, stuff for the people of the Glen. It is not, as you describe it, and that's why I'm raising the issue, to hear you say that these trails, there's parking, there's no limitations on the rest of Millis or other people from other towns accessing the space. I think it's great.
It is, and it is accessible to the Glen and it's accessible to anybody that would like to utilize it. This is only phase 1.
Right.
So the Glen has a fund set up for maintenance, which they spend, I think, $40,000 to $50,000 a year for cutting and maintaining the area already. But to make this more accessible, they're going to need to put a bridge in, they're going to need to expand the trails. So I think they're going to try to come back after, if this gets approved at town meeting, for additional funding up to a certain amount. I don't know exactly.
So just looking at this, so the 20,000 is to get the study going and the design going,
Right.
correct? And then possibly up to another 100 or 130,000 total?
It could be, yeah.
Could be,
Yeah.
based on what the design says.
Based on, yeah, what the engineers and designers come up with.
And what's that timeline like, do you think? If it passes at town meeting, is that another 6 months out or 12 months out or close, or shorter?
I believe that they could do some kind of preliminary estimating, and then they'd probably come to us again, and then look to have this on a Springtown meeting
Gotcha,
if possible.
yeah. And then we'll have a better idea of what those trails and construction looks like.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Are there any other universally accessible trails in this region, in between, let's say, ourselves, Medway, Medfield, Dover, Sherburne?
This does not connect to anything else. It's very similar to Oak Grove Farm, which is,
No, I know that, but are there any other trails that people, handicapped, could go in the general region and access trails that may be accessible
in Millis or in the region?
in the region?
I can't answer that.
Are there any alternative trails, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
So this will be ADA accessible for wheelchairs, walkers, that type of people that have any type of disability or impediment. So I'm sure there might be some in the area. I know that Medfield, Hospital Hill, most of theirs are not. They're just trails. So it'd be difficult for someone that had a situation that needed a clear path.
Eric, go ahead.
I have a couple of questions. So the first is, the 20,000 is coming out of the Community Preservation Open Space Reserve Fund, correct?
Correct.
And that, the subsequent funds, the other 100, the other 100,000, is that coming from the same source?
To be determined, probably.
Okay.
They haven't requested anything. This is just phase one, so it could come out of the open space fund. Currently, we have $72,874 of money in that fund designated for that. Not to say you can't get funding from our general fund or our undesignated fund balance or just our general fund.
Okay. And actually, I still have two more questions, so I guess I lied in the beginning. Second question is, how are we expecting the usage pattern of these trails to change when we invest this money?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, how are we expecting the usage pattern of these trails to change? Are we expecting them to be more utilized? Are there people in town that are, currently unserved by trails that we're expecting to start using these trails?
There's going to be a lot more accessibility with the ADA, and I think it's going to be over 2 miles of trails that people can access and utilize. So it'll, I think, double what they have available right now.
I guess the root of the question is, how do we know if the project was a success, if it's money well spent?
Go walk it? I don't know. I mean, it's to be determined. I mean, it's a utilized space now. I don't know, I'd welcome anyone. I'm not the advocate, I'm just the messenger. John Stedman is the advocate for this, so.
So maybe there was a kernel of need or want to start this process then, to maybe answer your point a little bit.
Yeah, I just like to look at, most
Some of
things
the
I like to look at them and say, like, what's the objective measure on the other side that we can say whether we hit our objective or did not hit our objective with this? So,
Yeah.
With the design that
that's the
he-
root of the question.
Yeah, with the design that he presented to us, it looks like it would be, the payback would be beneficial.
Absolutely. There are lots of cars up there now. If you go up there, there are cars from all over that park, get out, walk. It's a lovely area. And 2 miles is a good amount of space
Yeah,
to
it
be
is.
able to walk. So you're not having to find, like Oak Grove is lovely, but you're just going around and around and around and around and around. Whereas this is conservation land, you're seeing wildlife, I think it's a benefit, and I see that there are people utilizing it now. I can only see more people utilizing it. If it's longer and bigger, better.
Yeah, and certainly some of this stuff, like the bridge, sounds like it'd be nice regardless if you're, if you need it or not, And so then the last question was, and just something that I'm certain I heard in a previous meeting, but I've forgotten. I believe some consultants did a study around ways to improve the town, and something like this was included. Is that true? Does that ring a bell for anyone?
It rings a bell, but I don't know what source.
Space and recreation plan.
Right,
Space and
yes,
recreation
space and
plan.
recreation plan.
Okay.
Now, whether that was specifically included in that plan, that proposal, the current proposal was included in that, I don't know.
I
But
don't
yes, there
think
was a
it
study
was.
for eventual use and disposition of all the open space in town.
Well, I'll make a note so we can see if we can track that down. I'm sure we can.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I do have the book at home, so I can reference that.
Perfect.
I can-
Okay.
Can let you know. I'd have to review it again.
Go ahead, Heidi.
What types of things need to be done to make those trails accessible?
Space needs to be cleared.
Needed to be cleared. There's been a beaver dam up on the, that's washed out part of the trail. That's gonna have to be reconstructed. And then the bridge has to be put in, and then just making walking surfaces, ADA compliant and passable, is, gonna be required.
I've walked on those trails and they are beautiful. A lot of them are just like grass, some of it is paved. But how would the grassy sections be made ADA compliant? Like, I can't imagine somebody with a rollator or a wheelchair being able to get over some of those grassy areas.
So the grassy areas will not be ADA compliant. This will be designated trails that they will be accessing. So anyone that's capable of walking on the grass can do that, but there's going to be a designated trail that people can traverse.
So maybe we,
And that would be
go ahead, Heidi.
That
Go
would
ahead.
be
That would
ADA.
be presumably?
ADA compliant, is that what you're asking? Sorry, you were cutting out.
Yeah, so the ADA compliant trails would be paved trails?
No, not,
I don't believe they'd be paved with asphalt. There will be some kind of compacted material that would allow people to access them. That's to be determined by the engineers.
yeah, maybe after we get the design, that'll
Yeah.
answer some of our detailed questions.
Yep.
Any other final cuts? Go ahead, Mark.
So I was just wondering, how was this trail specifically selected based on the other trails? Is it based on foot traffic, maximizing usage?
So the CPC committee accepts projects, so we don't search for them. They came to us and asked for funding for a study and then potentially to improve this site, which the town approved when they approved the development. So they reached out to us.
Okay, so there's no overall analysis of how this 130,000 would be used here versus other trails and mills?
No, I mean, we've given Oak Grove Farm funding to improve their trail system with donation of time, materials, and then they paid for labor. So I think we've given them, top of my head, Joyce?
No, I was going to say, perhaps you explain, maybe it's not understood where this money is coming from, that it's not tax money.
It absolutely is.
Well, it is.
Is it?
It's fees. So the conservation money, up to $72,000 is the balance, comes from the registry of deeds. Every time there's a deed recorded, there's a fee that gets split amongst the Norfolk County and distributed out to the town. So the balance is, I think I heard 72,000.
Right.
So there's not 130. There's enough to, what they're asking for is, they still need to come for approval from the town to spend those conservation dollars. And so up to 20,000.
But-
I think what I heard, if I may, I think what I heard Nate say is if it comes back for 130, they only have 70, you can split the fund source up. So then it would be free cash, it could be some sort of other appropriation that would have to be voted. So the money is taxpayer dollars, really fees are not the same as taxes, but they're fees that we've already paid in. Anybody that's registered a deed in Norfolk County, it gets split up. We get very little in Norfolk County of, Millis gets very little of that.
I guess my point was, it is not an additional tax, though.
It's not-
That was
it's
my.
not part of your property
It's
tax,
not part of
right.
your property tax. Yes, it is, it's fees, but I just think that it's something that needs to be noted, that it's not additional tax money. That's all.
Mike, do you want to jump in at all, or?
I just wanted to touch base on the fact that this is a unique opportunity, because this property, the town has a permanent recreation easement on this property. It was part of the forethought of the planning board when they went through this process with Toll Brothers to approve the project. And not only that, of course, it's the old golf course,
Right.
which many people lamented to see go, but,
Yeah.
but, you know, that's progress, and that's the need for housing is there. But we also have, you know, a private organization that pays a lot of money every year to maintain that property.
Yep.
And they maintain it, and then it's open to the public. So that makes it a somewhat unique opportunity for the community. Obviously, if it wasn't fully accessible by the public, we wouldn't be considering
story.
putting public funds towards it.
Yep.
So this is a unique opportunity. I know that, obviously, the work they're looking to do is trying to make it fully accessible. My understanding is there aren't many accessible, fully ADA accessible trails like that in this region. And this would draw people in for this. Maybe you'll draw people in to come eat downtown or do other business, who knows?
Right.
But this will be a draw, and it's somewhat of a unique trail, because 2 miles also is a very long ADA accessible trail out in the suburbs. And I know the CPC only has 72,000 in that specific count. They have money in their general account, which can legally be used. That's a policy decision from the CPC. But there's also other things that could be looked at too, you know, free cash and other options when we get to the actual construction portion of this project. But, you know, we only see positives to this in the big picture for the recreational opportunity of the town. I do believe this was mentioned in the Recreation and Open Space Plan that Mr. Weiss worked on and, you know, received all the feedback from the public. But yeah, we should look at that and see what specifically it says in there. But I think this was one of the things that was flagged as a possible recreational resource for the community because of that permanent easement.
Perfect. Any final questions?
I'll just make
Yeah.
two quick statements.
Yeah, you bet. Go ahead.
So from the Registry of Deeds.
Yep.
Last year, we got $84,875 from the Registry of Deeds. That was their contribution. The rest of it is a taxation of 1% minus $100,000 value of your property off the value, and that's what our surcharge is. So you can see on your tax bill, there's a line item on there. It says how much you pay for the CPC annually. So currently, we have $1,473,283 in our undesignated fund balance. So that's sitting there for whatever purpose we designate to utilize. And then community housing, we have 280,000, almost 281,000. Historic resources, 54,000, 55,000, and then the open space, 72,000. So there's money in each category that can be utilized, and then you can take out of the undesignated fund to
Fulfill the difference.
for whatever purpose you need
Yeah.
to. So we do have another project that's been presented to us that we will be meeting on again
Okay.
for some housing. I'm not going to get into that,
Okay.
but they're looking for a
Somebody-
substantial amount, and I'm not really sure about funding that project.
Gotcha. Future discussion.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming in, and thank you for being flexible with your stir fry and the building committee tonight.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thanks
Have a
for
good
your-
night.
Thanks for all your work.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hello, Mike. Okay. Does this mean that there's an update?
It's an update.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, sir.
Great, thanks.
This is very similar to what you received
Mike.
by email.
Okay.
From Judy earlier, but there's just a couple minor changes.
Sure.
Good
Go ahead
evening.
and lead us through.
All right. So just on the article list, that's just formatted a little differently, just so you see that, more of just a formatting item. I did try to add a little more specifics into the titles of each article as well, to give a little more color into that, so. But it's the same 16 articles, I think, that we discussed at
Okay.
your last meeting.
Yep.
Article 1, we do have Jody and her team pull together all the prior fiscal year bills. So you'll see those laid out by funding category, general fund, and then the enterprise funds. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions on these. Usually these are bills that, for whatever reason, they either came in late or the timing just wasn't right to get them in and encumbered on time. So, and these are generally funded through free cash, which is basically money from last year's budget. So it's essentially just, we're paying these, we're just paying them about 4 or 5 months later.
Yep, as the numbers came in.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of a standard article with a fall town meeting.
Yes.
Pete, do you have any questions on this one?
I've got a dozen questions. No.
I know, you can put them in an email and let me know. All right, perfect.
Be happy to meet with you tomorrow if you want to come down. Saturday. All right, sounds good.
All right, keep going.
So Article 2, that is the, what I believe probably will be our last marijuana impact fee apportionment at the fall town meeting. These items here are basically, the first 3 items are basically the second half of the funding that we had in the Springtown meeting. The reason why these get delayed is because free cash usually isn't certified until October, so these funds weren't technically, we had them, but they weren't certified to be spent
Correct.
at the time. So these funds will be certified and available. I do want to explain the Tri-County one.
Before you get there.
Yes.
If I may, I'm looking at a very old 2023 spreadsheet of the HCA funding. And this 447,000 is going to exhaust the HCA
Yeah,
5-year period, correct?
So actually, if you look at the article, it's 99,000 from the
Free cash.
marijuana,
Yeah,
and then 348 from the general free cash.
I'm with you. Yep.
So yeah, the 99,000 will essentially.
And that'll
We might have a
terminate.
very small amount next spring, but
Yep.
we're not counting on it for anything. at this point.
Understood. I
If
just
there's
wanna
a
make
little cash left, we'll certainly find an appropriate use for it, but we're not expecting any funds of any
Yeah.
magnitude in there.
Gotcha. All right, go ahead with the Tri-County.
So the Tri-County, this was actually acted upon at the Springtown meeting, but just because of the way there was a little bit of a snafu in the motion, the way it was written up, that the Department of Revenue wants us to clarify this by putting it in this motion. So we're not spending the money twice. I just want clarification. This is the same money that was essentially the intent to be approved at the Springtown meeting. So I just wanted to make that clear. This is more of a housekeeping or a
Okay.
clerical thing. So people questioning why are we to do it in the spring or why are we doing it now? It's essentially the same payment.
And Mark, this is your article, so any questions, coordinate with Mike, and I can help you out as well.
Yeah, certainly Mike, myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk in the third person.
It's okay.
Myself and Jody will be happy to talk to you about
Yeah.
that. And usually on the financial stuff, things like this, ask Jody to get involved in that as well.
Yep.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Pete.
Perhaps you want to defer this discussion till next year, but how long does the $99,000 worth of services from those 3 positions, when does the effort or the service expire based on that funding?
That would be June 30th.
Okay.
Of 2026. So at that point, either we need to review our budget and find the funds within the budget, or those services would need to be scaled back.
Understood.
Services of HCA services?
Of these 3 positions,
Yes.
they're being
Yeah.
funded through HCA.
I'm
That
with you.
That
Yep.
funding is gone
So
when they're done.
we would need to find, we would need to either manage
Yeah.
that within our general operating budget or eliminate or reduce those services. So that'll be part of that broader budget discussion that will be starting in earnest in January. So-
We've brought this up literally with well, at least I've been shared, 2 years of
Yep.
people start being creative how they
Really-
want to fulfill
really
that
no
gap.
Shouldn't be a surprise then.
No, exactly. But great point. Yep.
Article 3, essentially, we just had a parcel that was missed in our long list of parcels from the spring. I think we had 80-some-odd parcels in the spring that we had listed for possible disposal by the town. This was simply a parcel that was missed, so we're just adding that parcel in.
Joyce, you good with that? Okay.
Articles 4 and 5 you've seen before at fall annual town meetings. This is $500,000 from free cash for road and sidewalk construction, design, repair, and maintenance. Certainly, if you're like to, have some discussions about where possibly those funds specifically would go, we could certainly talk with Mr. McKay about that. But as long as we're able and have the free cash available to do this, we're trying to bring our roads up to a much higher level. And I think we've made a lot of progress in the past 3 or 4 years. But we realize there's still some work to do there to get us where we need to go.
I'll contact Mr. McKay for specifics.
Yes.
I think we need to have specifics before we as a committee vote on it, and certainly before the town votes on it.
Yeah.
so.
Yep, where are some of the areas in terms of what they're thinking? Agreed.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I just want to ask for clarification. I'm hearing a lot of free cash statements, and then just our agenda stays the same number. Has free cash been certified, and what is that number?
Those are great questions. And the first answer is,
Hi, Jody.
that is a question for
There
Jody.
she is.
She can give you the most up-to-date response to that question.
Right. So I can tell you it's not certified yet, but it's very close. We're working with the final details of some of the reporting requirements with the DLS. So I hope to have news for you next week.
All right,
But
anticipation.
the things, just to also be clear, the things that Mr. Gazinski is referring to as far as the 500,000 and 100,000, I have full confidence that we will be able to cover those numbers.
Perfect. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you, Jody. So Article 5 is the tree pruning and removal. As you know, in years past, we haven't done this in a couple of years perhaps, but in years past, we've had funding set aside in there for special tree pruning and removal work in town. I can tell you, and I unfortunately was not at your last meeting where our tree warden, I think, spoke with you about this.
He did come in, yes.
We have had a large uptick in requested tree removals and tree work over the past year or so, and our current funds have been exhausted. And so some of these are getting to be urgent matters that we really need to take care of. So that 100,000 should take care of all the urgent matters and hopefully allow us to do some preventative maintenance as well.
Yep.
And we'll reevaluate it probably next summer, once a lot of that work has been done. But we feel that this is it is lovely to live in a town with a lot of trees and a lot of shade, but this is the cost of that. We have to make sure that the safety is maintained.
And just to be sure that everybody is aware of this, this is in addition to the $25,000 that Jim McKay has already in his budget. That is already almost used up.
Yes, that's correct.
Yep. Good point. Okay.
So Article 6, I won't go into too much detail on that, because I know you spent about a half hour earlier this evening.
covered it pretty well.
But this is the up-to-date language that's been submitted to, and this is very slightly different than what you were sent. I think it has the specific number in there. The total maximum grant amount from MSBA is $68,250,000. So that's considered the absolute cap. So no matter what we do, assuming they sign this agreement, which I fully expect they will, that is the maximum. So that's our goal, is to have the project done and meet that maximum number as part of the reimbursements.
Right.
And as was mentioned, our percentages of reimbursement are much higher than we originally anticipated, so we're all very happy about that.
So Craig mentioned 67,600,000 as a current number, and the 68,250 is the max number.
That is the max number from our last meeting with
Yep.
MSBA. That was the number, I believe, that was put out as
Yep.
the maximum amount. So that's what we're going to be gearing to go for
Okay.
reimbursement.
Mike?
Go ahead.
Has this warrant article been vetted by MSBA and by the state?
So right now, this article has been, I think, as of yesterday afternoon, this article was sent to bond counsel. It's already been sent to town council, who reminded us we need to send it to bond council, because they're the ones that have to take this to the bonding agencies and say it's good. So bond council's currently reviewing it, and MSBA is currently reviewing it.
Okay. We're not going to have any issues with the Attorney General?
I hope not. I don't expect. Are you expecting anything?
Well, I know with respect to the ADA, we did have an issue.
Oh, the ADU?
ADU, rather. I
Yes.
heard that we had an issue with the...
Yeah, as this isn't a zoning or general bylaw.
Okay.
We shouldn't have any trouble. The MSBA is the state agency that oversees this, so if they're okay with it and our bond council's okay with it, we're good to go.
Okay,
And
perfect.
bond council will also be reviewing the motion for this, as will MSBA, and they'll also be reviewing the actual ballot question for that. And the select board will be voting to approve and sign the fall annual town meeting warrant at their meeting on October 20th. They'll also be approving the ballot question to be placed on the December 8th election at that meeting as well, on October 20th.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Pete.
Could you give an opinion on why you think the state funding came in higher than anticipated? Was it due to some sort of, I don't know, influence from our representatives? Was it because we absolutely held to the design that they would, you know, meet their reimbursement maxes? What happened?
I think there were two main reasons. I think the primary reason was the school building committee and our OPM were working very hard to try to maximize that reimbursement by tailoring the project in such a way that the square footage of the project and how it was in the included and excluded items were carefully reviewed, and the included items were maximized and the excluded items were minimized. I think that's one piece of it. And we also found out at our last meeting with them that there was one additional portion of a bonus point we were able to get that we weren't aware we were able to get, and that bonus point added over $1 million in additional reimbursement to the town. I can't really get into the bonus point because I'm not an expert in that area, but it had to do with certain things having to do with how we maintain the building and certain things that we qualified for a bonus point. So they have all these incentives that they offer the towns to try to encourage towns to build a certain way, and we did qualify for one that gave us a bonus point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Article 7 is our capital article. We don't have a lot of items on this, and I apologize if anything I say is going to be slightly repetitive from our last meeting.
We did have the fire chief come in last meeting.
Yeah, so the gas meters, not going into detail on that, but we
Yep.
do have an earmark for that, but those meters are critical, the most critical item on this list, I would say. And this is sort of a belts and suspenders. We already have the
Funding.
belt from the state, but in case the state pulls that away, we want to put the suspenders on this so we can have these gas meters in the hands of the fire department by January 1st, no
Yep.
matter what.
Yeah.
And if, as we expect, the earmark is eventually released, these funds will be available at a future town meeting to simply transfer for use to another capital project.
Yep. Gotcha.
So,
You good with all that? All right.
So-
Oh, go ahead, Brett.
Clarify, we're not threatening the potential to receive those funds by us spending free cash to cover them.
We are not.
Okay.
The only, if we buy them ahead of time and spend the cash, that's a problem. But we do expect the governor to make a final decision on the earmarks and hopefully release them, by, I'd say by the beginning of December at the latest. Because at that point, it gets tough for a lot of towns to spend the earmarks, because the earmarks are supposed to be expended by June 30th. So we need to have at least 6 or 7 months, because some of these earmarks aren't just for purchases, they're for studies, projects. So it puts towns in a really tight position if they hold the earmarks too long. But I think the state is just concerned about things happening at the federal level and how it's going to affect their budget. So they've decided to hold off on certain local aid issues such as the earmarks. I think you've already had presentations on the other 3 items.
I believe so, yes.
So, yep, so that's the capital. And I believe you're going to have a visit from someone from the capital committee?
Jonathan Berry?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe next week.
Could be your next meeting.
It should be, because final recommendations are the one after, I believe. But I'll work with Deirdre and confirm that.
Excellent. So Article 8, again, you just spoke with the chair of the CPC regarding the Open Space Reserve Fund
Yep.
and the public portion of the Glen. Article 9, I believe Jody talked about that at a prior meeting.
She did.
The different thresholds.
Yes.
If there's any follow-up questions on that, we could certainly try to answer those. The ACO talked about Article 10
Yep.
earlier this evening.
Yep.
So Article 11, that was sent out. There is one change to this, and I thank Mr. Crone for catching this.
Sure, walk us through it.
So the commercial gas-powered leaf blower noise bylaw would essentially put at least some moderate restrictions on the time that commercial landscapers can use gas-powered leaf blowers, which are really the loudest landscaping device that these folks usually use. So you'll see in the permitted hours of use, it says gas-powered leaf blowers may be operated by commercial landscapers, so there's the new little piece in there, only during the following times. So again, it's not too restrictive. It is during the general business hours, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday 8 to 5, and prohibited on Sundays for commercial landscapers. If you're going out with your own gas power and you're a property owner and going out to do your own lawn, that restriction doesn't really apply to you as such. And so this bylaw really just puts some guardrails on the timing of that. So, and it's not that dissimilar from probably half a dozen other communities in the Commonwealth that have these types of bylaws.
Heidi, that's your article, so when you get back, you can start digging deep into that if you want.
Yep, I will.
Okay.
Article 12, I think have you had a presentation on the FEMA maps?
Yeah.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, with the tri-board meeting, we went over.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I do have the final map. I think the planning board approved the final map last
Okay.
night. So we're going to insert that document into this, and you'll have that, be able to look at that at your next meeting.
Yeah.
It's not an option, we have to do it, so.
We really have to do it. It's not.
Jen, go ahead.
Yeah, what happens if it didn't pass on some random chance? Like, what's the consequence?
Well, it could cause some headaches for folks that are in the zone that need to get insurance or need to have other things to come in line with it. But beyond that, I would have to ask our town council exactly what would happen. I don't know the exact
My
ramifications.
comments
Yes, of course.
Laden with dire consequences. if you
Yeah.
vote yes.
Yes. I think it would cause some issues.
Yeah.
We should say that.
Specifically,
That way we can get people.
specifically, we'd have to dive a little deeper.
Yeah.
All right, well, I
Yeah.
can follow up with you.
Perfect.
I think the state, and federal laws and regulations would override ours anyway.
It
FEMA
would-
has maps and we haven't accepted them, they're still FEMA maps.
Yeah, it would cause confusion in the insurance
Right.
industry and other
Mortgage
regulatory
industry.
industries.
Yeah.
The mortgage industry looks at
And they'd
FEMA
be like,
maps.
wait a minute, why don't these maps match?
We want to comply.
It would cause
be a pain.
administrative
Don't be a
difficulties
pain,
for
yeah.
folks, I think.
Gotcha. Between that and the ADU verbiage. Okay.
Yes, so the ADU.
Yes, we had Nicole Riley here last who,
Yes, and I'll defer to her on that.
yeah, it seemed pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So, the last 3 articles, Article 14, every 5 years, we're required to do a total asset valuation recertification by the Department of Revenue requires us to do that. And the estimated cost for this time is $59,000.
Is this the assessor's
Yes,
certification?
yes.
So it's gone from triennial to every 5 years now?
I will defer that to Jody. This one is
I'm
every.
not sure what it was, but yes, it's definitely every 5 years for the recertification.
Okay. I think there was a change in that law, but
Yeah,
I just
it
don't
must be,
remember
'cause it was 3 years
specifically. Yeah.
forever.
So the next one, Article 15, $8,200 to fund an actuarial study, which again, we're required by law to do that.
Yep.
Of the OPEB trust fund account. That's every other year. And the last one is to transfer from free cash $100,000 to the OPEB trust fund account. Again, we try to put some funds in there at least once a year. It makes our bonding agencies happy.
It's usually a lower number, isn't it? Or is it
We've done 50 in the past.
Yeah.
We're trying to show a little advancement on that. I can't say it'll go higher than that for a while longer after this.
Before we ask for 68 million?
Yes. To fully fund it will
Yeah.
require a lot more than that.
No, I
but-
understand.
But I think with what Craig said, we're going to be going out for a big bond. And everything we do relates to the final figure that we're going to get in bond rating and what our final bond number will be. So when you do things like this, it really shows, it gives you a little better push to get that best bond rating, get the best rate.
Right, and we are hopeful to put a good chunk into stabilization in the spring as well. So they love to see that.
And is Millis a AA rated town?
I believe we're AA.
Do you know, Jody, off the top of your head or not? Looks like
I
it's
know
a
a few of the towns
Yeah.
around here are AAA.
I know Medway
Some-
just was in the paper about their
Yeah,
AAA rating.
and some of the some of the hurdles we face is we're a little bit of a smaller community.
Yep.
And our tax base is not diversified as much.
Correct.
We usually get all A's on financial operations and how we manage our budget, but the problem is really our demographics and the tax base not having enough commercial. It's hard with a town that doesn't have at least like 15% non-residential to be able to hit the AAA rating. It's just difficult.
Yep.
It's just the nature of the beast.
Okay.
And
All
that
right,
is it,
that's it.
so happy to answer any other.
Any
broad
warrant questions, specific questions? Go ahead, Mark.
I have a quick question, and this is more clerical probably, so excuse my ignorance in advance. The items that we know are coming up, like Article 14, Article 15, there's a known expense every X amount of years. Is there a possibility to budget for this, or do we need to create an article every few years for this?
I think we'd have to probably dissect each one of those special articles to see why we add them in there and why we don't. I suppose theoretically, we could put a couple of those items in the budget, but that would be huge swings, because say the 500,000 for roads, if we one year felt because of a strong free cash number we could afford it, and then the next we couldn't, we would see strong percentage swings in our budgets. So I think we do it for to be able to provide a little more clarity on our budgets on an annual basis if they rise and fall. These are the things that fluctuate quite a bit. And also some of the things that we only put in every 2 to 3 or 4 years, because they're not an annual, they're cyclical. I think we do that for transparency, just to show the public that, this is a one-time item, that this is the 5th year, or this is the 3rd year, or things are going, well this year financially, so we're able to put money into this. And things like the 500,000 in roads, unfortunately, would be some of the first things we'd probably have to cut if things were really bad. But it's worth looking at. I mean, if the Finance Committee looks at some of these articles and sees some positive impacts of looking to roll that into the budget, we're always open to those discussions. But we try to do it in a way that it provides easiest understanding as possible for the people at town meeting. They see these swings in the budget. So
I was just curious about the process, so thank you.
Go ahead, Pete.
Is part of the short answer, most of these things are discretionary,
yes.
based on whether they're needed and the budget?
Yes, they're not, most of these, some of these things are either discretionary or they're only every 3 or 5 years, so they're just not the things that, and we also look at things like we split out school costs versus general municipal costs, and we try to keep things simple from those perspectives. But yeah, we do struggle in and look at those things once in a while as to whether they should be in a budget or not in a budget. And we did make a change recently, like we had with police cruisers and school buses. Up until 3 or 4 years ago, those were special items in either the capital or some other budget, and now we roll them into the actual annual budget. So we have made a few changes. It just depends on an item per item basis what makes the most sense.
That makes sense.
Go ahead, Joyce. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mark. Finish, go ahead.
I thought they were required, that's why. But
Well,
if
well,
they're
the only
discretionary,
things that, the couple things at the end are required, but like you know, maybe the tree pruning and the road work aren't really required on a specific annual basis. Although I would say we're getting at somewhat of an emergency point with the trees. Some of the things are required, like those last couple of articles.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so, and those, again, since they only come up every once in a while, you know, we don't want to keep them in a base budget every year if we're only going to use them every 4 years, 5 years.
Well, an example of it was last spring with the roads, was it $200,000 or $250,000 that was allotted for the roads? And then we decided that it would be best to put towards the tri-county expense, if I recall.
Yeah, I mean, there are, yes, exactly.
So
You know,
that
there are
was
things like that are somewhat
transparency, but then-
discretionary.
right.
If something comes up, we kind of know, okay, well, this item, we have a little bit of a tight fiscal year, we might have to cut back on this. So yeah, so it's certainly a legitimate question to look at these, and if this committee thinks that, you know, every once in a while you come across an item that should be based in the budget, that's as part of this discussion to say, hey, maybe this is justification to put this in the base budget. And how do we categorize it? You know, which section to put it in? Is it a generic item or a general item like debt or insurance? Or is this a municipal cost or a school cost? Those are the types of things we look at.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mike.
I think we're good on the warrant. Thank you very much, Mike.
All right.
Thanks,
All.
Mike.
Great evening.
Nice
All right, you
meeting
too.
as
Take care.
always.
Thank you, Jody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jody.
Jody. All right, have a good night. Next on the list. Yeah, minutes. So, yes, go ahead.
I move that the committee vote to approve the minutes from our October 1st meeting as written.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the meeting minutes from October 1st of 2025. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention? I think we're good.
Abstaining
Yep.
because I wasn't.
Great point. Yep, 2 abstentions, Deidre. Perfect. Old and new business. One question for you, Mark. Eric, Brett, and Heidi are going to the Finance Committee conference in Sharon on October 18th.
Okay.
If you would like to go, I think it would be well worth it. Jen, myself, and Kathy McGinnis went last year. Got some cool stuff there.
Yeah.
So take a look at your schedule and let's follow up and try to get you there.
Great, thank you.
Liaison updates. Go ahead.
The rug is now down. It was done last Thursday and Friday, so if you want to come in, we have a brand new rug down at the senior center. They're still talking transportation. Bob Weiss would be the person who you'd probably talk to, or Anne Marie, additional transportation. And they had a very nice meeting with the folks at the Glen Ellen. The Glen, one of our new board members is a resident there, so she arranged for Anne Marie to go up there today, along with Carol Maloof. And the residents there had lots of questions about what we do, and it was more of a question and answer and invite so that they're aware of that. Yes, they have their own very nice senior center there, but there are a lot of things that we do that they don't do. So it was a very nice interchange.
A couple on the COA front. So as Craig mentioned earlier, I believe he's going to try to get the select board to come to the group.
Which is imperative.
Yep, and also I think the school building support group
Yes.
is looking to try to get rides over to the school or show kind of seniors what it's like going over there in terms of what's needed.
Yeah,
So
I
I don't know where that stands, but you might want to keep your eyes and ears open
Yeah,
for
I'll
that.
keep my eye, and I think that's important if we could get the folks up at the Glen to get the same kind of.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
the more we get this out, Because there's still, I mean, as much as it's been advertised, talked about, we think that it's been beaten into people's heads to know about the school. There's people who still don't know.
Yeah, you still got to educate. All good? All good. Eric, anything?
No, nothing new from the CPC.
Okay, sweet.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn,
Second.
second, and probably second, and all those in favor, please, fourth, well, please say aye.
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 Heidi, thank you for joining us. I know it's almost 3 a.m. where you are, so you don't even go to bed. Just get up and grab a coffee and go. We'll see you next week.
See ya.